Hey, how are you? Welcome to the Friendship News Hour, presented to you by Bummer Dude Media. Today is March the 22nd, 2023. My name is Frank. His name is Alex.
Howdy, Franklin. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Getting going. A little dreary here today, but got to get out and swing some golf clubs this week, so the weather's finally turning here.
Tremendous. San Diego and Los Angeles counties have received more rain this winter than have Seattle.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So golf has been slim pickings, actually, this winter.
Oof. I'm sorry, man. I felt good, though, because I regripped my clubs and finally, going to make a very conceited effort this year to get better at golf instead of just using it as a relaxing, fuck around kind of thing. So
I'll check in 6 months.
Yeah, right. I said, fucking Frank, I'm back to just having fun.
Honestly, best way to get better at golf is to not get torn up on the golf course. Yeah,
Pat Davidson's always told me that too. I think that's going to be the key, man. At least give it nine holes soberly and see how I'm doing. And if it's shitty, then enjoy myself. But I could definitely see how that would throw off your how marijuana could relax your muscles and mess up that mechanic of it, and alcohol just would kind of make me always be a fuck around. So
yeah, I couldn't give you any tips on your swing or what to do. Golf's hard, but one universal thing is a sober mind plays the best golf.
Yeah, I will keep that in mind.
Unfortunately. It would be awesome if it wasn't true. The time is short, Al.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Life is short. I saw something yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And it basically shows your life in months. You see this?
Wow, that's cool.
So this is my birthday. This little chart here assumes that I live to 90. And if I am going to live to 90, these are the months that I have left. It might seem like a long time, but then you look at it in years, and I go, shit.
Damn. Wow, that's cool.
Wild. And it really looks interesting when you look at it in a perspective from your parents. So this is my dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's to 90, right?
Yeah, that's to 90. So this is how many months he has left. I know. That's a terrifying thing to see.
Well, 90 I don't think is that common, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I think it's an optimistic range.
Yeah, wow.
I know. So how much time you think you got left? It's not. I don't think it's as much as you do. What's your birthday?
November the 25th, 1991. Yeah, I'm looking good. I feel good about that.
You're looking, you're looking all right. But let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have about 2 more years left in this line. And each one of these lines represents 2.5 years.
Gotcha.
What's your dad's birthday?
Oh, man, you put me on the spot. June the 7th. I don't know what year, though. 60, maybe?
Yeah. Call your pops.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I saw something today that we are at the highest risk of a possible asteroid hitting the Earth that we've been in, since they've been recording it, basically. The craters that they're measuring from the small little meteorites and shit that hit us are increasing in size, in a way that looks like more and more might be coming our way that would be larger.
I welcome it with open arms.
Dude, man, that'd be quite a way to go out, man.
Send us home.
The universal goodbye to everybody at once.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
I'd rather see that than us blow each other's smithereens
for sure
because of some dumb geopolitical strife.
Now, would they tell us if this big meteor the size of 2 football fields, because I think it's the size of a football, not that big of an asteroid would destroy the entire Earth based on the cataclysmic effects it would have.
Right.
You think that they would tell us hey, this is heading our way, hug your loved ones, or it would just happen?
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, I think I think that's why there's so many people that are trying to get the hell off of Earth.
Yeah, right. It's true.
I don't think anybody tells us. Human behavior, because it only takes one small section of people to act irrationally before panic sets in the world over.
Yeah.
And then you're killing people for water.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, it would just get crazy. Yeah. There's a good movie, actually, with Steve Carell called Seeking a Friend for the End of the World that's kind of about this. If you've never seen it, it's a nice cute little rom-com. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's a solid little movie. It's cute. It's a meet cute.
I'm not even half joking when I say I welcome it.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're ready to die,
absolutely.
Frank? You listen too much Biggie lately.
I'm not ready to die. I would like to live to a ripe old age of 90.
Yeah, yeah.
However, if it's going to happen,
Quick.
You know?
Yeah.
But like equally as well. You know? We're not singled out. This person, this group of people is not singled out. We're all fucked.
Yeah. Right.
And at no real fault of our own. I think that's poetic and kind of leaves us with a little less guilt.
I feel it. Yeah.
How would you like to be the generation that lives through and then after some man-made cataclysmic event?
Oh yeah, probably.
How
terrible.
guilty would you feel for just existing and then knowing that your perpetuation of whatever is going on allowed for this to happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Because you're guilty by association at that point. If America decides they're going to nuke somebody first, which I don't know that would happen, but it might. If we decide to do that, I mean, we're all Americans, dude. We all hold that water, whether we like it or not. And we might say, like, I have nothing to do with that. That's not true. Because you lived and you enjoyed in the system every single day leading up to that point that made that happen.
Mm-hmm. True.
So I'm not saying it's your fault that happened, but you do share in it, and you'd have to live with that your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Give me the media.
Yeah, true.
Give me the media.
Oh, man.
Well, I'll ask you, Al, what do you have for me today?
Today, dude, the only thing I want to talk about today is how pumped I am on the Detroit Lions. That's the only news that I'm
you want to geek
about.
out over the Lions, huh?
Dude, I'm just seeing the stars align, and I'm seeing encouraging things that make me think they're going to make a big jump in about a month, a little bit less before the draft, maybe even the night of the draft. But the signings, what they've done basically in the past week since free agency started is they signed their old, like one of their stud linemen, Graham Glasgow. We signed, we definitely addressed a need on the defense, which was our secondary. We were terrible. We got torched last year. We signed cornerback Emmanuel Mosley from the Niners. We signed Cam Sutton from the Steelers, who's a dog. We just signed Sauce Gardner from the Eagles, also a dog. We got David Montgomery from the Bears, more like a little bit younger running back than Jamal Williams, who we had before, who I'm sad to see leave, but I'm happy with David Montgomery. We have 2 first-round picks and a couple other second-rounders. And in my head, Frank, and this is just a crazy Lions fan just wanting to see them actually be a good football team for once, I can't help but get rid of the notion that we are going to try to package those 2 first-round picks along with Jared Goff to the Baltimore Ravens for Lamar Jackson. And I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think the Lions are going for it here, bro. Like, they're making moves. Like, they're making smart decisions to make their football team better, and I think people want to play for Dan Campbell. So, I think we're like, I don't know.
I think you'd learn your lesson already. To have hope, and not even as a Lions fan. I mean, especially as a Lions fan, but just as a sports fan altogether.
Yeah.
Why would you have hope?
I know, but I don't know. It's encouraging. I haven't seen an offseason like this from a professional team I follow in quite a while. The Red Wings right now are clearing house. Stevie Yzerman's trading everyone away too, so it's kind of a turning point in Detroit. But man, even with Jared Goff, I think we're going to be a great team. And like, Jared knows the offense. It actually could be better to have Jared Goff this season, but man, to see Lamar Jackson in a Lions jersey would be sexy.
That would be cool. In 2015, San Diego Padres won the offseason. They made moves that made everybody turn their head and say, what?
Yeah.
The Padres did what?
What did they do? I don't even know.
They traded everybody for players, basically.
Oh, okay.
They traded for the best reliever at the time, Craig Kimbrell. They traded for Melvin Upton Jr. and his brother, Justin Upton. They traded for Brandon Maurer. They traded for Will Myers. They traded for Matt Kemp. They signed James Shields to a 4-year contract, and everyone's like, wow. I mean, these are like some of them MVP caliber players, and they didn't even hit 500.
Oh man!
Even today, with what would seem to be the strongest, most potent lineup in Major League Baseball for some time, at best, cautiously optimistic that the Padres do anything this year.
Yeah,
I hope against hope that the Lions do something, because damn it, that city needs it.
Dan, bro, you're telling me. And even if they don't go get Lamar, they got the 6th overall pick. They might be able to grab that kid from Georgia who's having that legal trouble right now and really beef their defense up. But I don't know. I just want to be into sports, like into one of my teams, man. Like Michigan's been all I've had to hold on to, and that's just been like the last few years. You know my struggles. Fingers crossed. I'm just ready for football again, man. I don't give a like. I'm not a baseball guy. I know you are, and those days are just about to start. But this is the worst time of the year to me, man. As soon as the NBA and the NHL end, it's just kind of like, all right, God damn it, gotta wait till September now. It just drags.
No, not me.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm just, baseball season's the best.
That World Classic got me more interested, man. The more I watch it, the more I slowly get into it. Baseball.
The World Baseball Classic was incredible. You couldn't have asked for a better, tournament. Mm-hmm. Oh, there was one blowout, and that was the U.S. against Venezuela, maybe Puerto Rico. I forget. Yeah. They blew out somebody to get to the finals. Last night's game ended. It was a one-run game. Japan was up 3-2. It was the bottom of the ninth. There were 2 outs. Shohei Ohtani, two-way player, is pitching against his teammate Mike Trout, who's widely considered the best baseball player in the world, and so is Shohei Ohtani, 1-1. And they play for the same team, who perennially suck, which is a completely other discussion. And that was the ending of the World Baseball Classic. It's storybook.
You can't write it. Yeah, right.
You literally could not write that in and be like, yeah, that's believable.
Yeah.
So, pun intended, home run for the World Baseball Classic. I think everything about it was awesome. All the games were great. The players loved it. I mean, from the outside in, it's an exhibition because it doesn't really mean anything outside of the World Baseball Classic. But the players inside, to a man, they were like, yeah, this is the coolest baseball experience. I've not been to the World Series, and I'm sure that would be cooler, but I don't know how it could top this.
That's kind of what Trout was saying, right? This is the most fun I've had playing baseball in my entire career. Man, that's wild to hear from the best, possibly the best player in the world.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's cool because it's a level playing field. The U.S., I guess technically had the best team, but the best players in the United States didn't play for the team, if that makes sense. It wasn't mandatory that everyone played. So it's a volunteer team, basically. Either you want to play it or you don't. And the way that they kind of bend the rules for who can play for what team. Trace Thompson, Klay Thompson's brother, was born in an American Air Force base in Great Britain. And because of that, he's an American citizen, but because of that, he's able to play for Team Great Britain. So he played for the British team. Randy Arozarena is a Cuban defector who defected to Mexico, and he played for the Mexican team. And embraced by every Mexican everywhere. He was a stud. Did you see that catch he made in left field
I did
a couple nights ago? Mm-mm. He robbed a home run and just stood there, stared whoever down, just stood there while the crowd cheered behind him. It was the coolest shit I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Man, yeah. So why do they only do it every 4 years? Why does it need to kind of copy that World Cup? Oh, it's every 3 years?
It was supposed to happen in 2020, but COVID canceled it. So every 3 years it happens.
Okay. Yeah, man. It was I liked it. It was interesting. Do they rotate where it's at, or is it always in Miami? I'm sorry, I'm fresh to this.
No, it rotates. It was in San Diego the first couple iterations of it. So they have an international round, the U.S. and North America, South America. They all come to America and play for the most part. And then once the semifinals, they reach semifinals, they all go to one final location, which was Miami. But it started in Arizona and then Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
And then everybody descended upon Miami. So it'll probably always be in America because it always falls in spring training. So you need people to be in the United States to go to their team once their team gets knocked out or the tournament's over.
Some of them started in Tokyo, though?
Yeah. Cuba.
Jeez.
Japan. Japan. And everybody that was in, Australia, Japan.
Oh, okay. So it's local. It's not like America would be flying to Tokyo to fly back to it. Okay, that makes more sense. It's regional.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Padres start meaningful games in 8 days. I couldn't be more stoked, man.
You guys got it this year? This is kind of the year, right? Before you would lose or potentially lose a lot of people?
They locked up Manny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
Tatis locked up. And then I think you got Soto for another year.
How do we feel about Tatis? Are we welcoming him back with open arms?
Look, San Diego is. I don't know about anybody else. The problem with him is he's got to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. You can say all you want about his play. It's always impressive, always. But if he can't stay healthy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he hasn't played a full MLB season since he's been in the league, which has been since 2019. So he's always been either been injured or last year it was injury and then steroids, and it's just kind of been like, oh, fuck.
But so he'll be good to go day one of the season? Like,
no.
He's not. Oh, really?
No, April the 20th.
Okay, not bad. So most of the season he'll be here, though.
Most of the season. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure how you were feeling because the day before the suspension got announced, or 2 days before, you let me borrow your jersey T-shirt of his, of which I still have, but I didn't want to like give it back because then the announcement came out that he had steroids, and you guys were very upset the day of Mike's wedding about it.
Upset. So you're just disappointed.
I've held the shirt. It's in great condition. It's been washed. But I wasn't sure if you were ready to take it back yet, or if that just became my shirt now because we don't like Fernando anymore.
No, we love Fernando.
Okay, it's coming back to you then.
We love Fernando. Yes. We love him. Camilo's first Padres jersey was a Tatis jersey.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, I guess we should...
To the news!
Get to some serious stuff. I don't know where to start, so I will pick the first thing that pops up. Oh, okay. For the first time in history, the President of the United States will be indicted on federal charges.
I'm confused, though, because I thought this was yesterday. This was going to happen yesterday, is what Trump announced. He was going to be arrested on Tuesday.
It looks like he's going to be indicted today. And that's just formal proceedings with the New York DA. And then next week, he will turn himself in. Because that needs to be, I mean, he has to arrange that with Secret Service and whatnot. So it looks like all systems are a go for these charges to be filed against former President Donald Trump.
Now go in. Yeah, what are these charges?
So the charges are, they revolve around campaign and finance laws. Okay. If you remember back 2016-ish, it came out that Donald Trump had an affair with Stormy Daniels. And that he paid her hush money to basically say, hey, don't talk about how we had sex one time after a golf tournament 10 years ago, which is what happened. And so she accepted. The charges against him are that he paid his attorney, Michael Cohen, to then pay Stormy Daniels this hush money. And if he did that, it would have been part of his campaign, and that would have been misuse of campaign finances. So in order to convict Donald Trump, they have to prove two things. One, that Donald Trump knew the federal election law. I guarantee you he did not. Two, they have to prove that the money that Donald Trump paid to Michael Cohen was then paid to Stormy Daniels for the explicit purpose of shutting her up about them having sex. And if you're Donald Trump and you hire an attorney, and that attorney gives hush money to a person that he had sex with, and there is record that says this money was used to shut up Stormy Daniels, well, then that attorney should, rot in hell, because maybe that's not the right word, but like, you're not good. You're not worth your salt if that's what you're doing as an attorney. So there's absolutely no way that they can prove that the money that Donald Trump paid to Michael Cohen, is $130,000, right? All Michael Cohen would have to do was like raise his retainer $10,000 a month for a year and a month. And then just say, yeah, I got a raise that year. And then he uses his money to pay Stormy Daniels or whatever. Like, you can't prove that those two things are connected in any way, shape, or form. So those two things would need to be proved in order to convict Donald Trump of any sort of felony crime. Feel about him how you want. Personally, I don't care for the guy too much. It's just, it seems very odd that this is what we're doing to indict for the first time ever. And this is all the shady shit that presidents have done throughout all of America, the entire history of America. And we're indicting Donald Trump on very, very shaky campaign finance charges.
And then, I mean, are we really ready to open this can of worms? Because, like, come on, man. Like, all of these corporations are financing all of these politicians now. Like, you can't tell me this is the first time that something like this is going on, where maybe it's not like because you had sex, blah, 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 but like, hey, why don't you pass this legislation? We'll add another $1 million to your campaign. Like, that's legal, but paying off someone you fucked just to shut them up is illegal? That seems very lopsided.
It's not illegal to pay somebody any sum of money and have that money represent their not talking about some sort of affair. Nothing about that is illegal.
Yeah.
It is illegal to do it when you're in the midst of a campaign.
But like they can prove that money came from his campaign finances and not his personal finances. Like wasn't a lot of his campaign like his personal money already?
Well, no, because Michael Cohen, if I have this correctly, was the attorney for personal counsel for Trump, his personal attorney. And I forget what it is, but like the connection is there when you're doing this for a political reason, because he was doing it for a political reason. He was shutting her up so that it didn't hurt his campaign.
Gotcha.
So that's the connection to him and his campaign. And if you're doing it for that reason, then you're using campaign finance.
But then what the fuck? Biden getting rid of this laptop. That's the exact same thing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because just last week, the ex-daughter-in-law of Joseph Biden was paid a sum of, I think, $35,000 from a Chinese energy company. She's a preschool teacher.
It must be a new thing they're doing over there, new grants.
Do you know what I'm saying? And this is the same woman who was the widow of Beau Biden, who passed away from brain cancer, and then subsequently married Hunter Biden.
Yep.
And then 2 days after Joe Biden left the vice presidency, she received tens of thousands of dollars from a Chinese energy company. We're not looking into this. And might I remind you, from day one, actually, before Donald Trump got elected, he was under investigation by the Obama White House. Susan Rice was looking into every single person in the Trump campaign. They didn't think that he was going to win. When he did win, they said, oh shit, we have to cover this up. So under the guise of Russia investigation, they created an entire false document you might know as the Steele dossier to create a link between the Donald Trump campaign and Russia. It was completely falsified. It allowed for a FISA warrant. And a FISA warrant is basically, we can prosecute you and investigate you without you ever even knowing it. And that was going on to the current president of the United States and everybody in his campaign for a falsified document. And just last year, Hillary Clinton, she was fined for her contribution to that Steele dossier, because it was her and the DNC that financed that dossier in the first place, that allowed for a FISA warrant into the Donald Trump presidency and allowed them to investigate the Donald Trump presidency for 2 years and push a narrative that they knew was false from day one. The most criminal shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, right.
And nobody is getting indicted for that. So here's my point about this. If you're going to indict Donald Trump on these charges, fine. Do what you got to do. I can't stop it. I'm not going to sit here and lose any sleep over it. But this better start the precedent. There better be some other politicians that start getting charged for crimes, because there are blatant crimes that are going on all around us, and everyone can see them.
Yeah, and they've been going after this dude, like you just said, for like 8 years. They've been trying to do anything they can to fuck with this dude's political aspirations or strip him of the presidency. And I'm not saying he's like a saint of a person. Like, I'm sure Donald Trump has done illegal shit for sure. But like the fact that it's taken him this long and this is like the little tiny thing that they're going for. I saw in Georgia, they're trying to hit him with RICO charges now because of his, they said they're considering racketeering and conspiracy charges in provo effort to like overturn his loss and say that like the ballots and all that shit were rigged in Georgia. And because of that, now they're going to pursue RICO charges. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I just, he's an asshole. Yeah, you can hate this dude, but like, this is something that'll snowball much bigger, or I hope does, because like, this dude is not the singular person doing fucking weird shit, shady shit, or, you know, maybe he's the first person to challenge an election, I guess, but like, all these people are breaking the law, man. Like, it's this is ridiculous at this point. Well,
it started because he was a threat to establishment politics.
Yeah, which is good. That is necessary.
It is good. And when you look at how he's been attacked from the beginning, you understand that, oh, okay, this guy was, I mean, they really were threatened by him because they pulled out every trick that they possibly could. 2 years of Russia investigation, then immediately after that they indicted him over a phone call, or they impeached him over a phone call. I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, really, really, truly crazy stuff. Yeah. And you might believe he's a threat to democracy. I don't believe that, but you might believe that, and you could probably give me some evidence that would sway me on one side or the other. But he's not a singular threat.
No.
And Politico came out with an article, I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, and they tried to paint this DA, this Manhattan DA, as apolitical. Right?
I'm sure
it's the stretch is so crazy to me. Because they keep saying, oh, he's politically averse. He's politics averse. He's a no nonsense guy. If he thinks you broke the law, then he's going to prosecute you, this, that, and the other. But you have to be politically, just to bring the charges is political.
Yeah.
Just to bring these charges, to know how thin of a charge it is. Meanwhile, you look at what's going on in New York, and this DA has, from as soon as he got into office, he says, do not prosecute any robberies. Do not prosecute any crimes where people are holding weapons. Do not prosecute petty theft. Don't prosecute any of that. Yet he's going to go after the president for campaign finance charges.
You're right.
I mean, it's like the gaslighting. It's just, you know what I'm saying? So then the conversation shifts to, does this make Trump more popular? Does this light a fire under him? And does it make people want to vote for him even more?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Potentially.
Because here's the thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't think he gets convicted of anything. He's beat everything else. Why would I assume that he's now going to be convicted under these charges? He might. I doubt it. I think what they're trying to do is trying to get a mugshot of Donald Trump. That's what they want.
Oh, yeah.
So they want. And every liberal in Manhattan will cream their pants. And
that'd be a good T-shirt, though, man. That'd be great.
Oh, would. I mean, yeah. You remember seeing the T-shirts of Tiger Woods mugshot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great, especially if he looks like shit.
You think he'd wear his hat in the mugshot?
I don't think he can.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
yeah, I don't think he can. But like, even if it has the potential, I feel like we were off him. I feel like we were ready to move off him. Maybe we weren't. I feel like we were. I feel like everyone kind of knew what this guy was about. And if he tried to run for president again, it's like, oh, all right.
So, I mean, does that mean DeSantis is the guy then? Like, for sure now? You think?
Well, it depends if he gets convicted. Because if he doesn't get convicted, then he's now beat 2 impeachments, a 2-year Russia investigation, and a federal indictment. He's bulletproof at this point.
True.
There's literally nothing that could bring him down. So he certainly continues to run. If he does get convicted, then he cannot run for president again.
Oh, that's like a law?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, yeah, that's why it has to be a felony.
Gotcha.
So,
okay,
I mean, and you could be a felon and still run for president, but if you're convicted of campaign finance infractions that are felonies, then you're no longer eligible to run for president.
I am willing to bet that every person that's held that office for the past 25 years is guilty of that crime.
Dude, 100%.
Come on, dude. The corporations
100%.
run this whole country. You're not telling me that they're getting their palms greased and doing illegal shit? Come on. You're dumb. Like, you're playing stupid if you actually believe that.
And if you want to make this guy out to be politically adverse, then fine. Let's play that game. I'm politically adverse. I have absolutely no horse in this race. I don't give a fuck about Donald Trump. I really don't. If he decides to run president, if he doesn't, it matters to my life zero. Mm-hmm. But you're going to tell me that this is it? This is the breaking point? This is what we're going to try and put somebody in jail for as a former president of the United States? I mean, really, truly, does that open up a can of worms for anybody else?
That's what
I'm saying,
we have
man.
proof that the Biden, like, that's election interference, what he did with that laptop, and coerced the FBI and others to, like, go along with as well. Like, that I don't see how that's, like, that has, I guess if there was a Republican president, that would probably be bigger news. Like, I can see why it's been squashed, but, like, that is black and white election interference. No question.
I just told you, and it's not just common knowledge, but it's fact, that Susan Rice, in her official capacity, is responsible for unmasking. And this means going in her official capacity as a cabinet member of the Obama administration, going in and looking at every single person in the Donald Trump campaign. She did that.
Yeah.
That's a crime.
Yeah.
No private citizen should be subject to that at all, but they were. And the cover-up is worse than the crime, because the cover-up was 2 years of investigation for something that they knew didn't exist, but they pushed it anyway, just kind of hoping that something would pop up. Millions and millions of dollars of yours and my dollars spent to investigate Donald Trump.
With Watergate, with Nixon, they were spying on the other party, right? Like, that was basically what he got impeached for?
He got impeached for lying.
For lying? Okay. About the spying?
It wasn't necessarily the crime. Yeah, it was lying.
Okay.
It was lying about it, yeah.
Because I thought, didn't we catch the Obama administration doing that to the Trump administration right before he was elected?
Yes, Susan Rice. Unmasked.
Got Rice, bitch. Let's go.
Everybody. Literally unmasked everybody. And then somebody that was working for Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn was the former national security advisor. He was the national security advisor for Donald Trump. When Donald Trump got elected to president, he went and had a meeting with Obama. And Obama said, look, you can't let anybody tell you who to hire. You have to surround yourself with your own people. But under no circumstances can you hire Michael Flynn. And so Trump went to his campaign advisor. He goes, hey, what job should we give Michael Flynn?
Really?
Yeah. And this guy was an agitator. He very much wanted to get in and unmask corruption. He was very much against the status quo of the military, but especially the security agencies in the United States in general. And I don't know if you remember, but he got fired like immediately after Trump got taken office because he kept catching a ton of heat because people in his office discovered that everybody in the Trump campaign had been unmasked by the previous administration. They went and asked, can you get me all of the unmaskings in the past 6 months? And it was like a stack of papers this high. And they were like, what the fuck? And they looked through it and it was everybody in the Trump organization. And they were like, oh my God, they were spying on us. They were spying on us. And this guy caught a lot of flack, and Trump and Pence were like, what do we do? We just started. This is not good. So they decided to let him go just to kind of let things die down a little bit. And it was probably a mistake. It was actually definitely a mistake because nothing died down. As a matter of fact, it ramped up times 10. And all of this Russia stuff started to come out.
Yeah.
To cover up the fact that they spied on the Trump campaign. Insane.
Yeah, of course.
Insane.
Real quick, before we move off Trump, I had a question for you. I just want to pose it to you. Do you think Donald Trump is the greatest and worst thing? At the same time, he's both of these things, like the greatest and worst thing to ever happen to our democracy.
I'll say it like this. He is exactly who we deserved at the time.
He is who we thought he was.
Yeah.
Because I look at it and I'm like, dude, that his presence, his draining the swamp, like that idea is exactly what American politics needs. But also and maybe it's like a necessary evil to do that, but like his way of going about it, and then like to see kind of how fractured our country feels, at least, or divided. And maybe that's not all him, that's social media and a bunch of other shit, but like that is like the closest to like watching all this shit fall apart that I think I've seen. But then also it's like, I don't know, was January 6th fake? Was it all like that? Could all just be smoke and mirrors to make you think like our democracy was about to fracture. Oh my God. Like I don't really know what to believe there, but I've never felt that feeling in this country before since I've been alive, you know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, it happened really early in his presidency. I wasn't happy that he was elected, but I didn't know what the hell I was upset about. I really didn't. I was woefully uninformed.
Mm-hmm.
But once he started to do things that were good, and then everyone in the media started to tell me that they were bad, and the reaction to everything that he did was so over the top, I was like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah.
This is not like this. What is this? It was when I started to get hip. But to answer that question, I would pose that to anybody who's listening right now and say, when you think of Donald Trump, what do you feel inside? If you've heard everything we've talked about right now and the gross injustices that were put up against Donald Trump and the fact that he's still being persecuted, and you can take all those facts and you say, yeah, but I really just don't like the guy. Okay, fair enough. But why? Like, why don't you like him? And if you come to me about like, oh, the way you treated women, or grab him by the pussy, or whatever, like, those things, fair game. But again, like you said, this guy had a goal to drain the swamp and get shit out of politics and make America great again, all these things. And all of that got turned around as being bad. Why?
Yeah.
And the more you look into it, the more facts that you find out, the more you realize that this guy was a threat, and that the powers that be had a vested interest to make sure that he did not succeed. And they still do. And they're continuing to make sure that he doesn't succeed. And like I said, I don't really care for the guy. If he decides to be president, run for president again, or he gets elected president again, it absolutely no skin off my back one way or the other. But was he good? Was he bad? I think once I started to see how he was being portrayed, I remember telling this to somebody in like 2017. I was like, I think he's more of like a Snape character than anything, like this bad, like painted like a bad guy, but really truly like he's kind of taken the bullet to continue on, and he has, and he still is.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, let's get to something else. Enough Trump talk, but that's a wild story.
It is a wild story. Let's see. LA Unified is on strike right now.
Oh, really?
Heard about this? Mm-mm. So it's not your teachers. It's your bus drivers, your special ed teachers, custodians, and support staff. About 30,000 workers integral to running the nation's second largest district are on strike, and then 35,000 teachers are joining in solidarity, which means 420,000 students for this week are off school.
Blaze it. Blaze it.
Workers and union leaders said the strike is about gaining respect for an often overlooked workforce in Los Angeles schools. This is a staff who keep trash cans from overflowing, drive students across town to school, and help educate and keep safe some of the highest needs students. Nearly all the support staff in the Los Angeles Unified District earn below $45,000 a year, which is not a lot anywhere, but especially not in LA.
Yeah.
Full-time food service workers earn an average of $25,000. Special ed workers earn $36,700. And building and ground staff earn an average of $39,240, according to the union. This is a former LA Unified teacher, and he's giving his spin on this.
Larry, you're a former teacher yourself. I know you've sometimes taken issue with some of the positions of teachers' unions over the years, and you've got strong views on this. So what is your reaction to what you just heard from the SEIU at that rally?
Well, the thing that is left out of just about every conversation on this issue is what are these people actually being compensated? Because just the salary doesn't tell you how many hours they work, how many weeks a year they work, and more importantly, what kind of benefits they're getting, what kind of health care perks and pension benefits. For example, teachers in Los Angeles now, the average teacher, according to Transparent California, which is a wonderful website, transparentcalifornia.com, average teacher salary is $86,000, but when you blow in all their benefits, it's $114,000. Food services workers make just $35,000 in salary, but when you throw in all that benefits, it becomes $69,000 a year. So people need to know this, and most people don't. They're always complaining we need to make a living wage, but there's so much that's left out of the conversation.
Even so, we are in Los Angeles. It is very expensive to live here. It requires a significant salary. So don't they have legitimate gripes? And seeing that there is so much support this year versus 2019 at the last strike that involved the teachers.
Well, the second point is, where are they going to get the money? The district says it doesn't have it. I mean, if Carvalho could just make this whole thing go away, I'm sure he would do it. Now, as was discussed before I came on, this is a 3-day strike. So Friday, everybody's going to be back. I'm sure some kids will take a long weekend. But nothing is going to be solved by this. And I mean, it's not like you're taking a rich boss who's going to have to fork over a few more bucks to keep his private industry employees happy. The district doesn't have the money. So, I mean, what individual people are making is only part of the story. It's what they can afford, what the district can afford.
We know the unions aren't going anywhere. What's the solution here?
Well, just not that you really asked. I mean, I don't know that public employees should be unionized, but that's a conversation for another day. I don't know where the district is going to get the money. I'm not an expert on school finance, but it seems to me that if Carvalho had the money to spend, he would spend it, and he just doesn't have this. And you're talking, and also the teachers union is very involved in this because they have a contract coming up, and whatever the service employees are getting, they're going to demand at least that much. They're already asking for 20% more. So Carvalho knows that there's a lot of money that the unions are asking be spent, and if he doesn't have it, I don't know where he's going to get it from.
30,000 non-teacher workers, 35,000 teachers, 65,000-ish. Total employees. LA Unified. What do you think their budget is? He keeps saying they don't have the money. What do you think their budget is?
Damn, dude, I'm so bad at guessing these. I'm always so off. I'm going to guess, how many total employees?
65,000, 35,000 of which are teachers. On average, we'll say they earn $90,000. They don't. That's high.
Yeah.
But let's just say they do. It's probably closer to like 70, but we'll just say 90. So 90,000 times 35,000. That is $3.15 billion.
Jeez, I was going to guess $1 billion, but that felt high.
You're off. You're way off. Okay. So we have 3.1 billion there. And then we had 30,000 other workers. They said in this article that they don't earn any more than
30, right?
$45,000 a year.
Yeah.
So we'll just take that as the number, knowing that it's high, times 30,000. That's 1.3 billion.
So just in salaries, we're looking at like over 4 billion plus all like the money for everything else to run a school. Like
yeah, what did we say? What was it? 2.1 billion?
Something like that, or 3
for the teacher. Well, round it up to 3, Al. This is how outrageous the budget is.
Okay.
3 billion. So we're at $4.35 billion in salaries. Okay. Assuming the highest, the LA Unified School District's budget for this year is $12.6 billion.
Jeez, where's that money going?
That's the question. And so, I mean, we can kind of look at it. I mean, I have here some of the breakdowns from each section. They don't make it very easy. But if I'm looking at, so there's like a whole bunch of staffing expenses, and it's really hard to say like where everything goes, because I would have to know all of this stuff. Like there's nurses and principals and aides and custodians and assistants and librarians and coaches, all that kind of stuff. But we're still talking about a delta here of over $6 billion. Mm-hmm. So I
think
there'll
be a lot left over.
So I think what and somebody smarter than me can come here and say, hey, no, actually, you got to break it down this way, and taxes, this, that, and the other, right? I'm willing to listen to that. But just looking at it, taking it for face value, it looks like the unions, this workers union, this is not the teacher union, but the workers union is saying, well, there's, I don't know, $6 billion around this summer in your budget. Please show us where that's at, because the salaries that you're paying us on the highest end still leave this giant gap in what's available. So frustrating, I imagine, to be a student or a parent of a student at LA Unified, to see this little tit for tat going on, to see all this money being, where is it going? Why is there so much of it? Who's getting paid what? And then to look on the other end of things and be like, well, your budget is $12.6 billion. And literally nobody is proficient in reading. Right. Literally nobody. I'm looking at this graph here. Like, if the very highest performers of white students and Asian students are proficient in reading and math. LA Unified on the whole is barely hitting the basic level of reading. And this is the whole Unified School District. So it's got to be really frustrating that there's this fight going on for money when you can see that the students are performing, and this is 2019, so this is not taking into account any pandemic losses or reversals from the pandemic, kids getting, not being in school. This is 2019. They were not doing good. But if you're a custodian at LA Unified or a teacher at LA Unified and all the shit that you must have to put up with, I wouldn't care either. I'd be fighting for more money. Are you kidding me? I got to clean up blood for the 3rd time this week from a fight in the bathroom. I mean, just cell phones alone for a teacher, like that distraction alone has got to be enough to want to drive a teacher crazy. And then you got to deal with truancy, and then you get this, that, and the other, everybody's parents, and you're overworked, and there's too many kids in your class to pay attention to all of them and give them all the attention that they need and deserve and should get. I think this whole thing just needs to be imploded. It's obviously been bloated to the point where $12.6 billion is not enough to make everyone happy and to get kids in school and to get our children educated the way they need to be. And if that's not enough, then the system is broken.
Well, that's the problem. I don't think the focus is on educating the kids, really. Obviously.
Well, it's a little unfair to have that conversation here, because this is all about the support staff, and that's who's on strike. But the teachers are on strike with them in solidarity. So they've now injected themselves into this. So you're going to take 3 days off of work and your kids are not even proficient in reading? Come on.
Yeah, but like, I guess the teacher is more important, but like those people are all very important to like making the whole thing work. They're a piston in this engine, of educating our kids. Like, you need bus drivers. Like, obviously we need bus drivers. Like, parents can't all be going and taking their kids to school like that. You got to get the kid to the school, and you got to get them home from the school. So, like, that is an important part. I mean, custodians and stuff like that is, they're all cogs in this big machine to, like, make it work. The teacher would be the best one, because they're the one, like, hands-on with your kid and, like, affecting them every single day. But these are all, maybe they don't all need to get paid the same amount, but, like, seems like they all need to make more money. They need to make more than $40K to live in LA. Like, I can't, you couldn't make $40K here and like really have a livable wage, I feel like, let alone
man,
out there. So it's
absolutely
nuts.
Right. It is nuts. To me, this is just another, like, crystal clear example of why school choice is needed.
Yeah. The more you've talked about it, the more you've kind of sold me on it, because you don't hear this stuff come out of magnet schools and even private schools. Like, you don't, and maybe that's because they're not unionized or organized in any way, I guess, as well. But I honestly just think they're paid better and treated better. So, like, you don't see this. Like, the focus is on the children and educating them because their parents paid good money for them to be there. And that's what we're all here for.
65,000 teachers and staff for 420,000 students.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's just so ridiculous. That obviously, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. You need to split that up. You need to make that more localized, because this big engine that is LA Unified with a $12.6 billion budget, it can't get the job done at all. At all. So you have to look at what's going on. And it's just this big, giant, bloated, inflated organization that is very obviously not good at appropriating funds. And this is just going to continue to happen. Teachers are going to get more pissed off. Support staff is going to get more pissed off. They're always going to feel like they're not getting paid more. They're going to continue to see these budgets inflate, and they're like, where's my piece of it? And they're just going to continue to go on. Now, them unionizing is a whole different story, right?
I got split feelings on that in this situation,
me too,
man.
Right, me too. But like, when you get this big, you kind of have to, because who's going to fight for you?
Exactly, yeah. And when it's all public funds, it's not private funds. It's like, right. You're not. That's all decided by people way higher than you. And it's not as direct as working in a small private school, and you can go to the institutions or like to the principal, or I guess superintendent, whoever would make those decisions locally to that school. But when you're talking public schools, it's the same laws for 15 schools in that area, and probably the same budget, I would guess, like for all of the schools. It's not just it makes it a lot harder. So to have that representation in a union, I think actually makes sense for these people, or else these teachers are all just going to get screwed. And I mean, all these workers should be getting proper, like, in a place like where you live, LA, San Diego, you're pretty close to a border that a lot of people cross illegally, and a lot of people are willing to work for not as much. You know what I'm saying? So, mm-hmm. Like, if you have a system that doesn't protect, the vast majority of workers, bus drivers, superintendents, all this other stuff, you're going to have a bunch of guys that are like, fuck yeah, we'll do it for $30K, no problem. like, and then you're robbing Americans of jobs. So, like, I feel like it's a necessary evil to have a union there to support these people.
Yeah, you bet. I think you could also make the argument for the free market working the way it should, and allowing for whoever's willing to do the job for the rate that it's being offered to do the job. And I get that it takes jobs away from citizens.
That's anti-American, Frank. That's not you.
Yeah, well, it's quite possibly the most American thing that you could say. But I'm not here to make that argument. I am here to say is this is far too big. This is far too. I mean, San Diego County too. San Diego Unified too. It's far too big. I won't even get into what the hell that they're focusing on teaching the students. We've had our gripes. I've had my gripes. I won't throw you into that. I've had my gripes about that. But it's very obvious to me that the focus is not correct. Yeah. And the best, most efficient way to correct it is to allow parents to decide where their kid goes to school and give them the freedom to fund students and not the system, because the system obviously it doesn't work. I'm up against it, sir. I got to get out of here.
Gotta go? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if you guys want to find our stuff anywhere else on the interwebs, you can find us on Twitter at FriendshipNH, recently verified. Very cool. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Friendship News Hour. You can shoot us an email with any comments, questions, concerns to bummerdude.media@gmail.com. We'll be sure to get back to you. And apparently now on YouTube and Facebook. We're live streaming all these episodes. It's been going pretty well. We love seeing you guys pop in and say hi to us. That feels great. Any questions you guys have, always feel free to post them in those comment boards, and we will definitely bring them up. That is a cool new aspect of the show that I'm excited about, Frank.
Yep, you bet. I appreciate you guys tuning in. See you next time.